Hello friend, I want to tell you about the Hyundai Elantra car. Simple design, not for everyone. A simple suspension design generally means fewer problems. The Elantra uses McPherson struts and a torsion beam. Unfortunately, the suspension setup is average at best and worse. In terms of both handling and comfort, the shock absorber's travel is quite short, so larger bumps can throw it off balance. They also do a poor job of absorbing small bumps. They don't encourage dynamic driving. Besides, the car was not designed for such a car, and that is due to the engine versions. In our country, two were offered, a 1.6 petrol with 128 HP and a 1.6 diesel with 136 HP. Both units do not provide very good performance, and the diesel offers better. Interestingly, the diesel is more economical only at high speeds. In the low range, with skillful driving, the petrol wins. By sticking to the principles of eco-driving, you will easily get below 100 kilometers. If you add to this the possibility of installing an LPG system and the very simple design of the petrol engine, this unit should arouse greater interest. Only people who like dynamic driving may be tempted by the diesel. Both engines were configured with a 6-speed, precisely working manual or optionally with an automatic gearbox. The petrol with a classic 6-speed automatic and the diesel with a double-clutch DCT with 7 gears. So regardless of the configuration, in every respect the petrol seems less problematic. In practice, it is a bit different. It is also worth noting that the richer versions of the Elantra have more than good equipment. For example, the front seats can be ventilated, and the rear outer seats heated. If you value good multimedia, it is better to look for a model after the facelift. Minor glitches, but annoying. The Hyundai Elantra doesn't struggle with serious problems, but some models are plagued by minor issues. For example, a classic in this brand's cars: unfounded warnings about a drop in tire pressure sensors. The electrics are quite troublesome and can play tricks. Some of the controls either require getting used to or frequent visits to the service. Some of the equipment also fails. Reversing sensors, radio. Sometimes the battery goes flat and no one knows why. In older cars with higher mileage, you can see that the paint is not particularly resistant. And when you look into the nooks and crannies, you can find traces of superficial corrosion. Users also occasionally complain about manual gearboxes that grind or catch. And in such young cars, no one looks for serious faults. It is possible that it is something as trivial as not changing the oil. There is also fluctuation at idle speed or jerking when accelerating. And this can be helped by updating the engine software or replacing the timing drive chain. Unfortunately, despite its simple design, the engine does not like poor quality oil with a viscosity different than that specified by the manufacturer, 5W30. However, with higher mileage, users decide, unfortunately, often at the urging of mechanics, to change the oil to worse, i.e. cheaper. That's all for the petrol engine, which can be a bit moody on low mileages, but in a few years' time, it will probably be a safer choice than the diesel. The diesel engine is currently practically problem-free, up to a mileage of about 150 to 200,000 kilometers. Then problems begin. Mainly with the DPF filter, cleaning helps. If the car was driven in the city, you can also expect wear of the turbocharger or injection system, although this is not a problem with the model for now. The unit's advantage is the lack of a dual-mass flywheel. Generally, knowledge about the operation of this engine from the Elantra, although it is more or less the same as in the i30 or Kia Ceed, is small, because the car rarely left the showroom in this configuration. For now, we can assume that it works flawlessly. It is worth remembering that Hyundai offered a 5-year unlimited warranty for this model in our country. If the car is maintained to an appropriate service standard, the youngest units are still covered by it. A small but expensive problem. Now, not all parts, even consumables, are available as cheaper substitutes. It is difficult to get even some suspension or brake system elements. Sometimes you have to wait. However, parts are quite easy to get overseas because Elantra is quite popular there. Of course, everything can be bought at ASO here, but it is not cheap. It is easier to get engine parts, both for petrol and diesel, because these units are similar or closely related to those offered in other models of the brand, as well as to older generations. Thank you for listening to me. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel and rate my video. If you know of any problems with this car that I did not mention, be sure to write about them in the comments.